You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now.
It's the Tifo Football Show, starring JJ Bloor and Alex Stewart, and your host, Joe Devine. The Tifo Football Show.
Yes, and welcome to the Tifo Football Show, the show in which we answer the questions that you've asked us. Now, if you'd like us to answer one of your questions, you can leave it in the comments below the video. But without further ado, let us begin. The Tifo Football Show. Joshua Gerard Butler on YouTube says, "How good was Peter Crouch? I loved him as a player," says Joshua Gerard Butler, "but my feelings are purely sentimental." Question. Or is his quality backed up by data and actual analysis? Well, to answer that question, we've brought in the one and only Seb Stafford-Bloor. Take it away, Seb.
Okay, so is Peter Crouch a good player? First of all, terrible question. Of course he's a good player. Peter Crouch is one of only 32 people to score 100 Premier League goals or more since the league began. Also had a strike rate of over 1 in 2 games for England. Pretty impressive. Also, during one of his Liverpool seasons, was actually top scorer in the Champions League. Their Champions League campaign, not in the whole Champions League. Let's put a bit of context there. Also, worth remembering with him that he forged a career from pretty humble beginnings. When he started, when he was a child, I think he was still about 6'5", so kind of big hulking Joe Devine sized person.
Little Orcs, brown.
And rather unfairly, adults and children used to laugh at him when he took the pitch as a young player. So he overcame some pretty significant obstacles. And I suppose when we talk about what Crouch was good at, we can very easily fall into cliche territory, start talking about good feet for a big man. And yes, his feet were good, but his feet were just good, not for a big man. Also, whenever you deal with a player 6'7", I think the temptation is to ascribe his value just to having crosses lumped towards him and them hitting him in the face and bouncing to the goal, that kind of stuff. But Crouch is more measured than that, and he did things. He's a very good facilitator, good goal scorer. He also was able to forge partnerships with different players. So was in a very decent combination with Kevin Phillips, was very good with Jermaine Defoe. What we're going to focus on here is his relationship with Rafa van der Vaart at Spurs, because that's the most interesting. Van der Vaart, not an orthodox centre forward, not a number 9, deep lying sort of attacking midfielder, relied on his positioning to score goals a lot of the time. One of my favourite statistics from Tottenham land, from that period of Harry Redknapp's team, was actually that 5 of Rafa van der Vaart's first 6 goals were actually assisted by Peter Crouch. And they all kind of look the same, and they have allowed me to use the board, which is really, really exciting. And most of them look like this. So generally start on the right-hand side. This would have been maybe Aaron Lennon, sometimes it was Nico Cranshaw. Long ball to the back post. And this is Crouch's value. Now, the mistake is to see Crouch as just someone who was able to jump higher than everybody else, was taller than everybody else. I think that misses the nuance of what he was good at. So Crouch would typically win this ball at the back post, but not only would, he had the height advantage, he knew how to use his body. So if you watch those moments carefully, particularly for these Van der Vaart goals, you'll see how well he pins the defender, or how well he maneuvers the defender out of the way, allowing him a free strike of the ball. Because Crouch, from when he was a younger player, he wasn't a great header of the ball, which is a funny thing for someone who's about 7 foot. But he was very accurate at knocking the ball either across back into the danger zone, or into a position where it was either going to go in or kind of be in a position for a teammate to fight for it. And so one of the things he was able to do was he would be able to, as the ball was coming across, track Van der Vaart's movement. It's amazing how many of the goals look exactly like this, and knock the ball into precisely where he wants it. See Van der Vaart's 2 goals against Villa, for instance, or one he scored, I think, against Stoke. All relies on Crouch being able to control his own body, control the header, and control the opponent at the same time. When you add that up with some of those falling volleys he scored for Liverpool, his longevity, his ability to actually not just affect play in the penalty box, but also in this kind of area of the ball to feet, that was a very, very, very good player. Not a novelty one, just a good player.
What would you say about Peter Crouch? Do you like him?
I do. I have fond memories of him 2004-05 season at Southampton. And basically the one way Southampton attacked would be Jason Dodd would hit a massive ball up the line to Crouch, who would then sort of peel wide and flick it in. That was a consistent approach. But he did also score quite a lot of goals. He was a good player.
Massive ball. I like Peter Crouch. He was a great player. I can't remember what Seb said already, but I think he said that he was good with his feet for a big man.
Yes, his feet were good, but his feet were just good, not for a big man.
I met him in real life, and he's lovely.
Well, that's interesting, Alex. Thank you. Lead on YouTube asks, is it true that coaches who were midfielders coach better than coaches who were not midfielders? Alex Stewart.
Yes.
There's no easy way to compare managers like for like, given that which club they work at determines a lot of what they can achieve. So to answer this, I found the fairest approximation of quality I could, the International Federation of Football History and Statistics World's Best Club Coach Rankings. This system awards points based on performance. The men's version has been awarding points since 1997. The women's only started 2 years ago, so it's too small a sample size to use for now. Obviously, I created a spreadsheet, and I then calculated the points won by all the top 3 coaches by year since 1997. I then cross-referenced that with their position using transfer mark data where necessary. The results were clear. Midfielders accounted for the most coaches in the list and also accrued the most points by some distance. This included 4 of the top 5 with Mourinho, Guardiola, Simeone and Zidane. By number of coaches, defensive midfielders were the most successful, followed by central midfielders and then centre-backs. Interestingly, the only coaches on the list who were attacking midfielders were Zidane and Luis Enrique, although Ancelotti played various midfield positions in his time. Only 5 strikers made the list, but they had a disproportionate amount of success, carried largely by Sir Alex Ferguson. Apparently, despite all this work, it wasn't fun enough, so I also created a team of the best coaches showing where they would play. Mourinho coaches the coaches as the most successful of all, according to the IFFHS list. The absence of a keeper from the list meant I had to find one for our team. Raymond Goethals, a successful manager of Belgium and Marseille, was the best fit. So there you have it. Midfielders have been, by one measure at least, the most successful coaches.
How long would you say that took you?
Quite a long time.
How many hours?
Enough to get a correct answer?
Because the answer's yes, isn't it?
The answer is yes,
Would
ultimately.
you say that is an efficient spend of time as an employee?
I have the spreadsheet still if you want to check what I've been doing.
I just think maybe next time we need to bring it down a little. JJ's working hard, but he's doing it in a much shorter space of time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's noted.
I'm not really enjoying the mocking tone either. Next up, Secret Man. Secret Man via email from Lisbon.
Email from Lisbon?
Email from Lisbon, yeah. Secret Man asks, I keep hearing about a player called Pote, and that he might be the new Bruno Fernandes, and that he might make a big money move to a massive Premier League club. Is that true? How much money can he make? I should delete that. Hopefully I don't push send before I delete this email. Well, Secret Man, we have asked Dr. Mark Carey for you. So let's see what Dr. Mark Carey had to say.
Hi, I'm Mark Carey.
Mark Carey is in a normal situation. No weird space stuff just behind the board.
I'm going to be speaking about Pedro Goncalves, who plays for Sporting Lisbon, also known as Pote. And the question is he the new Bruno Fernandes? He's very much not in terms of his playing profile, his style, but in terms of him being maybe a talisman for Sporting, then you would maybe argue that he is. When Bruno Fernandes left to play for Manchester United in the January, going back a couple of years, he actually finished as the top goal scorer for Sporting that season. So it shows that they're in desperate need of an attacking talisman, of someone with a strong attacking output. And it was Pedro Goncalves who came in the following summer to be that person. Now, he's not a striker by trade. He's very much an attacking midfielder, a forward, you could say. Sporting play in a 3-4-2-1, and he very much plays in the 2 next to Pablo Sarabia, who's previously of PSG, behind Paulinho up front. And as you can see here, looking at this, the board, So this is looking at the first half of the season of him playing in the Champions League specifically here. And just to sort of give an idea of just where he likes to pick up spaces and have his touches, you can see very much in the right half space here and pushes more towards the right-hand side and likes to pick up central areas where he very much likes to shoot as well. And last season, he actually finished as the Primeira Liga, the Portuguese league's highest goal scorer with 23 goals. And that was for Sporting to win the title for the first time in 19 years. So it shows just how much of an eye for a goal that he's got. But as I say, he's not actually a striker, so it just shows how impressive he is. Doing very, very well for Sporting, and no disrespect to them as a club, but you think that if he continues the way that he's going, then he's on for a move to a potentially bigger club and more of an elite European side.
How very interesting. Thank you, Mark Carey. Now, JJ, where do you think this young fella could go?
Any number of clubs, I would say.
I think he should go to Man United. Next question, Jonathan Evans. Jonathan Evans asked on YouTube 10 hours ago, how has Eddie Howe transformed Joelinton? What do his stats and tactical positioning tell us? This is an interesting one, isn't it, JJ? Because as far as I understand it, Joelinton's gone from a striker to not a striker.
That is correct. So, Joelinton was signed for Newcastle from Hoffenheim for about £40 million as a striker. He's Brazilian. They thought he'd be a number 9. Steve Bruce couldn't get much of a tune out of him. We didn't really score very many goals. People thought he was rubbish. And that's because he mostly sort of was as a striker. And when Eddie Howe came in as Newcastle manager in about November, one of the first things he did was play Joelinton not as a number 9. He played him sort of here on the right side of a 3-4-3, if that was a 3-4-3, like that. But he also played him as a 10. And the thing is, when Joelinton was at Hoffenheim, he was more of a pressing forward, often would play as a 10, slightly deeper than the striker line. He played deeper. And the things he was best known for were his work rate, tenacity, and ability to press off the ball. Howe took charge of Newcastle in November, played Joelinton first of all as a right-sided forward, moved him to number 10, and eventually his first game as a centre midfielder came against Liverpool in a 3-1 defeat. And he's been very good. Actually, surprisingly good. I have some stats to show you how good this is. He's so much better that Football Manager actually buffed his stats. This is what he was like at the start of the season. Not amazing, but a striker. And this is what they have him down now. As a ball-winning midfielder, they've improved things like his dribbling, weirdly, and his tackling. But the real thing is when we look at his actual real-life stats, not made-up video game ones, and this is where FB Ref comes in handy. Now, this was Joelinton's stats as a striker over the past 365 days, so it's a bit skewed because he's become a midfielder. But you can see here, these are not very good statistics per 90. These are numbers per 90. This is the percentile of what he exists in. He's very low. This is bad. This is not good at all. In fact, we can see it more clearly with this. So the things that Joelinton is bad at are the things that a striker should be good at, and the things he's good at are the things that, I don't know, a kind of creative midfielder would be good at. But he's amazing as a striker at winning the ball back and pressing. That'll have a lot to do with him moving position to midfield, but we can look at him as a midfielder because this is how he compares as a ball-winning midfielder. That's what BWM means. Now again, the per 90s here, this is crazy. He's basically one of the best midfielders in the world, according to FB Ref. Obviously, that's probably not quite true, but his statistics for the season so far, or 365 days, suggest that he is absolutely amazing at winning the ball back, progressing play, just amazing. So Eddie Howe spotted something inside him and managed to get it out. He's now an amazing player, and Newcastle are a lot better as a result. There's more reasons to why they're good, but Joelinton is a key one of them.
No, it's actually fascinating, Alex, isn't it? And say something.
Yeah, well, this is why you scout players within systems and you bring players across into a system that's going to fit. And as JJ highlighted, what Joelinton was really good at Hoffenheim would make him, say, a more natural fit for like a Firmino role at Liverpool. And instead, Steve Bruce tried to use him as an out-and-out 9, like an Andy Carroll figure, and it doesn't work. Eddie Howe's been sensible and adapted him. But that scouting good scouting would have prevented that kind of mistake in the first place.
Well, there we go. Kudos to Joelinton and Eddie Howe. Well done, everyone. Really. What a fantastic scenario for all of us to enjoy. You've been answered.
So aggressive.
And that brings us, of course, towards the end of the show now. Thank you, JJ Bull.
Thank you, Joe Devine.
Thank you, Alex Stewart. And just one last question for you folks at home there. Leave your answers in the comments below. If you had to either choose between dressing up a dog as a pig or dressing up a pig as a dog to go through airport security, which one would you choose? Let us know below. Thanks and bye!
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do enjoy Tifo, then you'll probably also like The Athletic. If you watch our tactics videos, you should go and read Michael Cox. If you're into data, read Mark Carey. And if you're into transfers, it's David Ornstein. Plus, if you're a fan of any Premier League team, then there's a journalist dedicated to you, and you can try it for free for 30 days now by clicking the link in the description.